So this is Ultimate General Civil War on Major General Difficulty, and I showed you the hotfix version. What I'm doing here is I wanted to show you that I had $1 million before I rebuilt my army. And you can see that the 1st Division is all 1500s. One unit is over because it didn't bleed down less than 1500. In the first 2 divisions, it's all 3-star infantry, and they all have 1863s. I did buy the Whitworths, and you can see how many weapons I have left over. And this is really important because you cannot switch weapons between units in camp during the battle. So you can give more men to units, both raw recruits and veterans, but you can't switch weapons. So if you run out of weapons, you're done. And I have $260,000. Now, out of that will come ammunition. So during the battle, you don't get free ammunition. You have to pay for it. So I have $260,000 for ammunition, but also for, I want to buy some veterans probably when I go to camp. And there's one camp phase in Richmond. So I have all of my 2-star units, and I noticed that one of them has CS Richmonds, but all of my 2-star units are supposed to have 1861s. And I have about, I don't know, 15,000 or something weapons in inventory of 1863s, 1861s, CS Richmonds, and Harper's Ferries. But you have to guess how many, like I have to guess how many of my 3-star units, how many casualties I'm going to take, and my 2-star units, how many casualties I'm going to take, and how much money I'm going to need for ammunition. I have lots of JF Browns and sniper weapons, and I have lots of stuff. I have lots of inventory. And so you can see that the 2nd Division is, they all have sharps, they're skirmishers, and these guys work really, really well. They do a great job in the Battle of Richmond. I have a Cav division, and this is just, this was the artillery I had left over. 10-pound ordnance, 6 Weird, which is the 6 rifle, and 10 Parrots. And they do okay. They're not great. They pitch in. They do about 250, I don't know, 250 damage maybe. And yeah, it's just, I moved a 3-star into this unit. Look how good this unit is. I mean, just absolutely terrific. So I moved a 3-star in there. I have a 3-star also in that unit that I'm highlighting. And these guys have a perk in marksmanship, so they're going to do, I expect them to do really well. I have a ton of officers. I'm going to lose some officers. I'm planning on it. And I have an enormous officer corps. If you don't play the large army strategy, you play the small army strategy that I did in this campaign, the odds are, I mean, I just didn't need anywhere near as many officers. I thought there was a chance I could switch weapons between units. You can't. That's important to know. If you bring replacement weapons for everything that you might lose during the battle, you can get your units up to, if not full strength, at least replace the losses. Now, it does screw up the after-action report. It subtracts whatever you put into your units, it subtracts it from your casualties. But I'm going to live with that because I just want to win the battle. So the The screen is showing me the enemy has 88,000 and 275 guns. The enemy has 100,000 men he brings to this battle and 534. I have, my core army is about 60,000 and about 300 guns. So I'm not quite outnumbered 2 to 1, which normally isn't a problem. But these fortifications are really good. If you haven't played Richmond before, and you probably have, if you're watching a Major General playthrough, you probably have. But if you haven't played Richmond before, man, these fortifications are great. And it's going to cost you to bust them open. So the first thing I'm going to do is I march everybody south, secure the woods, and then move up on the fortifications and advance with detached skirmishers and have lots of artillery support. This is an easy place to bust the line. You can lose entire divisions doing this wrong. These fortifications are really tough, and I took a lot of time to soften these fortifications up with artillery and detached skirmishers, and did not pay a huge price to punch a hole in the fortifications. You get reinforced, and that's how it is. Your reinforcements come in phases. And I'm just showing you highlights. So I broke the fortifications at one point and then just expand the break. This is a great position here because there's a river and he keeps trying to cross the river. On Major General, the AI is very aggressive, and I have a bunch of 24-pound howitzers, and we just tear them apart. He has artillery on the other side, but the Parrots do a great job, and the Whitworth is not as good as the Parrots, but it does a very, very good job, and it can reach to the moon. I mean, it can reach if you can see it, you can hit it with the Whitworth. I mean, I really like the gun. It's not as good as the 20-pound Parrot, but man, it is really, really nice to have because of the range. I want to cut these guys in the south off and then destroy these guys in detail. So that's what I'm doing here. And we just wrap around them, and we're going to squeeze these guys to death. And this is the first big victory for the army, taking out all those units. So then it goes to the second part of the battle, and I don't have much over here, but I decided to attack anyway, and because I saw that there's just a detached skirmisher in that fortification, and then the phase ended just as we were attacking, and when you come back to this part of the battlefield, and we're just wrapping around his army, and he's doomed, and I'm going to capture his supply wagon on the other side of the river. And this is how it ends. I guess we could call this phase 1, and everything went great. Just absolutely great. Okay, what happens is, and I've played this several times in previous campaigns, he gets reinforced here. So my army's in the south, and I have some units in the north. And I respond to his reinforcements coming in, and well, he only has, it looks like 3 units. They quickly get flanked. JF Browns are great in this battle. He has a lot of units, and usually there's a flanking opportunity in the JF Browns. Apparently the enemy does not like getting JF Browns shot from the flank. So if you've played this before, you know the cheating AI brings in cav units. They usually come in behind you. I know these guys come in. So I have a tiny force that's in the woods, and he does the right thing, and he concentrates his army on attacking it. And this is the cheating, broken cav unit passing through my army. Which creates a lot of turmoil and a unit routes, but I'm able to get everybody back online, and we continue to hold this. And I gotta tell you, the only reason this held, the 24-pound howitzer just broke all the units' morale. But the AI is very, very intent on attacking there. So then this phase ends, and we go back down here. So I don't have much of an army down here. You get to bring in 2 divisions of 2nd Corps and 2 divisions of 3rd Corps, and it's not like this is not a powerful force. So punch through the line. I guess we have about equal numbers, but the thing that I have is my sharps, skirmishers. They are like I don't know. They're like supermen in this battle. They just have such an opportunity to tear the enemy up. The enemy's in the open. The enemy spends a lot of time in the water, in fortifications. These guys are priceless in this phase. So if you can set up your army so you bring in a lot of detached skirmishers, and my JF Browns are supposed to give me visibility. But I'm not entirely sure I got all that much more visibility. But anyway, I had them. I think I had 2 JF Browns here and 5 Sharps skirmishers. So anyway, we drive the enemy into the river, wipe out his infantry, and then come back up to the north. And that's what you do. You bounce back and forth. And I got more reinforcements that came in, and I'm going to have some of the infantry go around to the right, my right flank, and the cav, I want the cav to come around to my left flank and come up behind the enemy position. I want to push the enemy up through these woods. I don't want to attack the trench line. I want to, of course I have my army that had to chase the enemy units in the south and then fight the reinforcements that came in. They had to move all the way to the north, and I wait for them to move all the way to the north, rest them, get their condition back. You can see my units have, really good condition, and if they don't have good condition, I just stop and let them rest. There's a unit, I think it's the Iron Brigade. Well, it's a unit that, no, it's not the Iron Brigade. It might be the Iron Brigade. Anyway, one of the units lost an officer, so I immediately moved somebody in so that there's an officer in the unit. And I have 3 melee cav, and they just break this position right here. So they're going to kill the infantry unit, they're going to kill the artillery unit, they're going to completely destroy both of those. And then I have a whole bunch of infantry, artillery, cav, 2 JF Browns, and they're going to get behind the enemy position and make it pretty much hopeless. My reinforcements are coming up on the right. They do a really good job. The enemy wants to attack them as soon as he sees them, and that's absolutely ideal. So yeah, everything is working out really well. The cav, you can see how far north they are. They're really far north. At this point, his position is hopeless. I have the entire wood line now, and other than having to stop and rest some units, I'm just waiting, rolling up the artillery. It takes a while, but that's okay. In the end, I decide to capture a bunch of his units. I want to experiment with my melee cav, and I put all these perks in my units for melee, and I decide to send everybody in for melee. That's probably a mistake, but I wanted to wipe him out before the time was up in this 8, 7, 6, 7 minutes in game to go. And I do get them all, and I wouldn't have if I waited for the artillery. But I wanted to wipe them out. But 2 things, my army is tired, and I took probably more casualties than I needed to. So then it bounces back to the south. I continue to wrap around the fort. Everybody north of the river is dead. Everybody wraps around the fort, and I have some really good long-range artillery and it tears his artillery up in the fort. And then he's doing the dying cockroach down on the bottom of the map, and we're going to kill all those guys too. But my army is really tired at this point, and he counterattacks. But his counterattack, he doesn't attack the fort. Instead, he attacks, and my sharps are just tearing him apart as he does this, and my snipers. He is going to cross there and go back into the fortifications off to the right. Well, I have reinforcements coming in, and, they're only 1842s, no perks, but their job isn't to fight, it's just to protect the artillery. But the battle ends. I mean, he didn't even try to take the flag, so it was all for nothing. It says he has 20-some thousand. That's not true. He's going to get lots of reinforcements. So I have lots of officers, and it's very easy to replace the officers. Yeah. And you only need an officer that has a command bar that's greater than the efficiency bar. So, yeah. And I still have lots of officers on the bench. So I take my army up to like 1300, 1350, except one 3-star unit is only 700. The rest of them are 1350. The 2-star units are about 1250, 1300, second corps. Really inexpensive. I still have 32,000 left and a whole bunch of weapons still left. 1300. I got my cav up, really nice. Yeah, it's the army's not as big as it was, but it's more than fine. It's fine. I didn't lose any unit perks. Didn't use all the weapons I have, and so like this, I can increase the size 100 because I have a ton of CS Richmonds, and it doesn't affect, it's still a 1-star unit. So the downside, maybe you look at that and you think of the efficiency you lose by doing this. Maybe it's better to have the efficiency. I don't know. I think it works out just fine. I brought tons of weapons, and there I just increased the size of my army. So I'm taking everybody to 1350, and as you can see, it doesn't seem to be. I don't have to spend very much to do it, and there is not another phase. This is it. So, how big do you want your army to be? Yeah, now for this I have to spend some money. And this is money well spent. These, I did not really, there was a part, there came a time in the game where I just stopped using these sharps in the battles, but they are real, I'm glad that I had them. Because I was thinking, why did I spend so much time building these guys? But I'm really glad that I had them. And you probably noticed that I put JF Browns about 1 every 2 divisions for visibility, so my long-range artillery could see more targets, and I could see more targets, so maybe that paid off. I'm going to do that from now on. I'm going to have JF Browns with all the perks in spotting, so that my artillery, including my Whitworths in future campaigns, can see long-range artillery targets and kill them. So but an entire division, I only have 5. Next time I play as Union, I'll have 6 units with at least 1 star that can use the sharps. So, yeah, these guys are just to hold the line and protect the artillery, and they do. Unfortunately, 2 of the divisions I don't use. I know that sounds odd, but 2 of the divisions I don't use. So yeah, I've replaced my losses, and we're gonna go do this again. So my army's tired. So what I do is I wait a very long time. Before I start moving, I let my units recover. It takes a long time. And but then when I attack, my units have recovered, and so when I need them to, they can run. And yeah, I'm just not going to attack with low condition. That phase is over. Took the flag pretty much at the last minute, and then I slowly move up. My whole, a lot of divisions come in. There are no units in the fortifications on the right side of this map. So I figure that out, and then I just have everybody move forward. And yeah, we can win this if I attack aggressively. So I'm going to attack aggressively. So I have 4 really good long-range artillery that does a very good job tearing his artillery up. 3 Parrots and 1 Whitworth, and they just do a really good job. Eventually the fortification in the center collapses, getting hit with a lot of artillery. And then we just surround these guys. This fortification here is always tough, and it always inflicts a lot of casualties on the army. So and these guys have Fayettevilles, by the way, so they're doing some real damage. And I'm probably facing, I captured a lot of 24-pound howitzers, so I think the guys in there had 24-pound howitzers, because they inflicted a lot of damage on my army. But that's to be expected. It's a fort, so, and these are really, really good forts. So you're going to have to fight to knock the enemy out of here. And it takes basically my entire army to knock the enemy out of here. Now I have 1 division holding the fort to the left, and I have 2 of the scruffy 4th Corps divisions kind of in a blocking position to the north. So I have 3 divisions in my army that are not here. But it's still everybody, and it takes everybody to take that 1 fort and take it successfully. And if you attack without softening up with I don't know how many artillery units are there. It's a bunch. But if you attack it too soon without softening it up with a long bombardment, it's going to cost you a fortune in men. Well, you can, just get all your units shattered. It is a tough location to take. So I take this fort. This was not easy. Had to, this force is not very strong, and it took everybody working together to take these 3 locations. And then I rest everybody and do not take the flag. And then when everybody is rested, then I put everybody on line, because I know they're going to counterattack. Everybody's in position, then I trip the flag. And up, you can see kind of on my right flank, to the right of the flag, those are JF Browns. And all I want to do is hit these guys. They attack a bunch of times, and the 24-pound howitzers tear them up. And he's down to nothing, and I don't care about going after him at this point. It took hours. It is a long grinding battle, and he can have the edge of Richmond. He can keep that. I'm just not going after him. I'm trying to see him because I have a lot of artillery here, and I would just assume the artillery keeps firing at him. But I don't need to wipe him out. He has a couple of units left, and they can go back to the farm after the surrender and plant crops. Man, I'm done. So it says I lost 7,000. The enemy brought, what did the enemy bring? The enemy brought over 100,000. And the enemy lost 67,805. I think I probably lost more like 12,000. And so 5 or 6 to 1. I don't care. I just, when I get to Richmond, I just want it to be over. So, I don't care if it costs me half my army. I just want to win and be done. So, yeah, my best unit got 2,000. My losses are not correct because I, put troops in camp. Yeah, I'm just going over the numbers. A lot of units got over 1,000 kills. That went really, really well, and I think that's because you have all the different phases, and every division has something to do. Now I have units that didn't fire a shot because they were like they had security, blocking the road or covering the flank. But of the units that did fight, they did really well. I mean, I'm looking at these guys got 700. That's a good day. And not everybody was on the field the same amount of time. If you happen to be in a division, if a unit was in a division that just didn't get to fight very much, then they're not going to get many kills. So the enemy lost almost 68,000. So that's what all this should add up to. That's a lot of kills. I can't think of any battle I've ever fought where I took out 68,000. And these were 68,000 3-star and 2-star units with Fayettevilles. Not all of them had Fayettevilles, but a lot of Fayettevilles. Hey, everybody got a promotion in the 4th Corps. So the 4th Corps is now a fighting corps and not too shabby, just in time to be mustered out of the Army. So there's that. And there we are, Fayettevilles. And then a whole bunch of other good weapons. CS Richmond's also really good weapon. And yeah, Lamott, so his cav that was harassing me, they were well equipped too. So that's the Battle of Richmond. The next thing I'll show you is just in the campaign. I'm not going to put it in a separate video. This video is not that long. Okay, 35 reputation. Very nice. And if you win on Major General, you are elected president. I don't know why anyone would want to be president, but there you go. So for the campaign, if I'm looking at this correctly, I subtract 20% for medicine. I lost about 100,000, which is shocking. I can't believe I lost 100,000. And that includes, I'm guessing that includes Allied troops. It doesn't count the number of troops I poured into my army, which has got to be another 10,000 or 15,000 or something. Maybe 20,000 Allied troops. Maybe I put 20,000 into my army. I don't know. It's about 8 to 1. 829,000 is a lot more than I killed on Brigadier General. And on Brigadier General, I built the biggest possible army I could to get scaling to bring the largest enemy force. Here, on Major General, I stayed at the bottom of scaling, and the enemy still brought a much, much bigger army. I knew that every battle the enemy had more troops, but 829,000 is a lot of kills. So 8 to 1. This has been a lot of fun. The campaign has been really challenging. I don't know that I could ever go back and play on Brigadier General. It doesn't hit me as, as you play more and more of Ultimate General, you get better at it. and then you look for more and more challenge. I thought that this campaign was the right balance. I thought it was the right balance for exactly what I wanted to do, for how I wanted to play. I felt challenged the whole time. I was excited about building my army. I was intimidated about scaling, which is good. You should be intimidated about scaling. And I didn't know if I'd make it through the entire campaign. It turned out much better than I thought it would. It's a really, really good game. This is the best. I've played a lot of these. And there's a lot about Ultimate General that is just incredibly fun. And I hope that people who watch this playthrough get ideas, and they're able to use some of these ideas in their playthrough. I'd like to thank the guys who made Ultimate General, the people who've supported me in my playthrough, people who've left comments, lots of support, the guys on Reddit. And I couldn't have done this without watching other great players. And there's a long list of them now, and I've watched a lot of playthroughs. But special shout out to Atheist and also to Spectrum. Thank you, Pandakraut, for the work you're doing in the modding community, and for giving me the information, the background information, looking under the hood, and helping me understand the mechanics of the game and how the algorithms work. You've been a big help. So if you've made it this far, thank you for watching, and I appreciate you taking the time to watch my small playthrough of this really great game. Thanks.